The meeting room was too cold. Dr. Ji-Soo Kim pulled her thin gray jacket tighter around her shoulders. The temperature was not set for humans. It was set for the Vorax, with their thick, leathery skin and hot-blooded bodies. Ji-Soo watched the aliens across the long metal table. The Vorax were tall, most over 7 feet, with broad shoulders and deep purple skin that looked almost black in the dim light. Their 4 eyes blinked at different times, making it hard to know where they were looking. "The terms are simple," said the Vorax High Commander. His voice was deep and rumbled through the room. "Pull your colonies back from the Centauri sector, and we will not destroy them." Admiral Ta-Won Park of Earth's Defense Force sat beside Ji-Soo. His face was calm, but she could see his fingers tapping against his leg under the table. "The Centauri colonies have been human for 20 years, Ta-Won said. "We found those planets empty. We built those homes." Ji-Soo studied the Vorax as they talked. As a linguist and expert in alien minds, her job was to help humans understand other species. Something about the Vorax had always bothered her, something in how they spoke and listened. The High Commander made a sound like stones grinding together. "Empty to your eyes, perhaps. The Vorax Empire claimed those worlds long before humans crawled out of their little solar system." "We found no signs of any claim," Ta-Won said. His voice was getting louder. "No markers, no signals, no buildings. Our claims are not made of metal and stone, like yours." The High Commander's 4 eyes all focused on Ta-Won at once. "They are written in frequencies your primitive ears cannot hear." Ji-Soo touched Ta-Won's arm. "Admiral, may I speak?" she whispered. Ta-Won nodded, and Ji-Soo turned to the aliens. "High Commander, can you explain these frequency claims? Perhaps we can find a way to detect them in the future." The High Commander's mouthparts shifted in what Ji-Soo had learned was a sign of surprise. A human who asks questions instead of making demands. Interesting. But before he could answer, Ta-Won slammed his hand on the table. "We will not be called primitive. Earth has traveled the stars for over a century now. We have earned our place among spacefaring races." The room went silent. The Vorax all turned their heads in perfect unison toward Ta-Won. Ji-Soo felt her heart sink. The Admiral had just made a terrible mistake. Among the Vorax, claiming to be equal to them was the worst insult possible. "You have earned nothing," the High Commander said. His voice was now deadly quiet. "And you never will." He stood up, towering over the humans at the table. "The Vorax Empire hereby declares war on Earth and all human colonies. You have 1 standard day to evacuate your diplomats before we begin." The other Vorax stood and moved toward the door. But as they spoke to each other in their own language, Ji-Soo noticed something odd. Their words were clear enough, but there seemed to be a pattern to how they moved their throats when they spoke, vibrations that made no sound she could hear. As the room emptied, Ta-Won put his head in his hands. "What just happened? All I said was, you claimed equality with them," Ji-Soo said. "In their culture, that's like spitting in their faces. So now we're at war because of hurt feelings." Ta-Won looked pale. Ji-Soo didn't answer. She was still thinking about those strange throat movements, the mention of frequencies humans couldn't hear. In all her years studying alien communication, she had never seen anything quite like it. The Vorax had just declared war on humanity, but maybe, just maybe, Ji-Soo had seen something that could help end it before it began. She didn't start this fight, but perhaps she had just glimpsed how humans might end it. 3 months had passed since the war began, and humans were losing badly. Ji-Soo stared at the map on the large screen. Red dots showed human colonies that had fallen to the Vorax. There were too many red dots. "We lost New Terra yesterday," said Colonel Sung-Ho Lee, pointing to a newly red dot. His face looked tired, with dark circles under his eyes. "That's our 5th colony this month." Ji-Soo had been moved from the diplomatic team to military intelligence after the war started. Her new office was deep underground in Earth's main defense building. The walls were gray concrete, and the air smelled like metal and sweat. Their ships are faster. Their weapons are stronger, Sung-ho continued. And they seem to know our moves before we make them. It's their communication system, Jisoo said quietly. Sung-ho looked at her. What? The Vorax. They communicate differently than we thought. Jisoo pulled up her research on her tablet. I've been studying the recordings from the first meeting. There's something in how they talk to each other, sounds we can't hear. Sung-ho frowned. Dr. Kim, we need real solutions, not theories about alien talking. This is real, Jisoo insisted. She played a video of two Vorax speaking. Look at their throats when they talk. They're making sounds outside our hearing range. I think it's how they coordinate so well in battle. They're sharing information we can't detect. The colonel looked at the video and then back at Jisoo. His eyes were doubtful. Even if you're right, how does this help us? If we understand how they communicate, maybe we can disrupt it, Jisoo said. Imagine if Vorax ships couldn't talk to each other during battle. Sung-ho rubbed his tired face. Dr. Kim, I appreciate creative thinking, but we're fighting for survival here. I can't give you resources for a project that might go nowhere. Jisoo felt her hope sinking, but then Sung-ho sighed. 2 people, he said finally. I can give you 2 people to help with this research. That's all I can spare. Jisoo felt a small smile form on her face. Thank you, Colonel. That's all I need. The next day, Jisoo met her new team. Hajun was a communications expert with spiky black hair and quick eyes. Mayray was a sound engineer who specialized in frequencies. They sat in Jisoo's small office, looking at her research. You think the Vorax use subsonic communication? Hajun asked, leaning forward. Sounds below what humans can hear. Yes, Jisoo pointed to her data. These patterns show up across all their speech. I think they're sending emotional and tactical information through these lower frequencies. Mayray nodded slowly. It's possible. Some Earth animals do this. Elephants and whales. But to build a whole language this way, it would explain why they work so well together in battle, Hajun said. They're sharing information we can't hear. Jisoo pulled up a new file on her screen. This is from a captured Vorax ship. Their communication devices have speakers that produce sounds from 5 Hz to 30,000 Hz. Humans can only hear from about 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. So they're using that extra range for secret communication, Mayray said, eyes widening. Clever. A loud alarm suddenly blared through the building. The lights turned red, and a voice came over the speakers. Alert. Vorax forces detected near Mars colony. All personnel to stations. Through the small window in her office, Jisoo could see people running down the hallway. Another attack. Another day of losses. We need to work fast, she told her team. If we can develop a way to disrupt their communication, to create the right kind of noise, we might have a chance. Hajun looked skeptical. You think we can win this war with noise? Jisoo's eyes were determined as she looked at the map with all its red dots. I think it might be our only chance. Outside, the alarm kept blaring. Time was running out for humanity. Play it again, Jisoo said, rubbing her tired eyes. Hajun nodded and started the recording for the 100th time. The strange sounds of Vorax speech filled the small lab they had set up. For 2 weeks, Jisoo and her team had worked almost non-stop. They had gathered thousands of hours of Vorax communications from captured ships and battle recordings. Their small room was now filled with computers, speakers, and sound equipment. I still don't hear anything special, Mayray said, adjusting her headphones. That's exactly the point, Jisoo replied. We're not supposed to hear it. Jisoo had set up specialized equipment that could detect sounds outside the normal human hearing range. On the screen in front of them, these sounds appeared as colorful waves. The regular Vorax speech showed as blue waves. The hidden sounds below human hearing showed as red waves. Look at this pattern, Jisoo pointed to a section where the red waves formed a clear pattern. It happens every time they give an order. Hajun leaned forward. And this pattern here appears when they're asking questions. He pointed to another section of red waves. Mayray had been quiet, but now she spoke up. It's not just words. I think they're sharing feelings too. She pointed to yet another pattern. This appears when they're discussing attacks on human colonies. It might be excitement or pride. Jisoo felt a chill. The Vorax weren't just talking with these hidden sounds. They were sharing emotions, context, and extra meaning that humans couldn't detect. That's why their coordination is so perfect, Jisoo said. They're not just sharing battle plans. They're sharing intentions, feelings, and reactions instantly. Hajun sat back in his chair. This is amazing, but how does it help us? Jisoo had been thinking about this for days. If their brains are wired to process these subsonic frequencies, what happens if we disrupt those frequencies? She turned to her computer and pulled up an image of a Vorax brain scan that had been taken from a captured soldier. Look at their auditory processing centers, she said, pointing to a section of the alien brain. They're much larger than in humans. Their brains devote huge resources to processing sound. Mayray's eyes widened as she understood. If we could create the right kind of noise, we might be able to overload those centers. Exactly, Jisoo said. A sound that disrupts their ability to process their subsonic language. Hajun looked skeptical. You want to create a weapon that gives aliens a headache. Not a headache, Jisoo corrected. Think bigger. What if we could temporarily shut down their ability to communicate? A sound that makes it impossible for them to understand each other. The room went quiet as they all considered what this could mean. We'd need to find the exact frequency pattern that would disrupt their neural pathways, Mayray said finally, and we'd need to test it somehow. Jisoo nodded. I know, and I think I have a way. She pulled up a new file on her screen. There's a captured Vorax being held at the military base in Nevada, and we have some of their communication devices. If we can create a prototype disruptor. Hajun looked concerned. Even if this works, the military will never believe us without solid proof. Then we'll give them proof, Jisoo said firmly. We need to design the device, test it, and show them clear results. Mayray was already drawing diagrams on her tablet. We'd need to generate a complex wave pattern, something that specifically targets their subsonic frequencies. Jisoo looked at the red waves on her screen. Those hidden sounds had given the Vorax their advantage in this war. But now, those same sounds might become their greatest weakness. Let's call it Project Silent Night, Jisoo said. Outside their small lab, the war continued to go badly for humanity. But inside, a small spark of hope had been lit. The Vorax had started this fight with their superior technology and strange communication. But Jisoo was determined that humans would find a way to end it with silence. Winning a war with noise. That's your plan. General Kang looked at Jisoo like she had suggested fighting the Vorax with water guns. His thick eyebrows pulled together in a deep frown. Jisoo stood firm in the large meeting room. Behind her, Hajun and Mayray waited nervously. In front of them sat the top military leaders of Earth's Defense Force, including Admiral Taiwan Park, who had accidentally started this war. It's not just noise, sir, Jisoo explained. It's targeted sound waves designed to disrupt Vorax neural pathways. Colonel Sung-ho, who had given Jisoo her chance, tried to help. Dr. Kim's team has made real progress understanding Vorax communication. Understanding them won't save us, General Kang said. Proxima Centauri just fell. Over 10,000 colonists dead or captured. A heavy silence filled the room. Proxima Centauri had been one of Earth's oldest and largest colonies. We need weapons and ships, not science projects, the general continued. Jisoo felt anger rising inside her. Our weapons and ships haven't stopped them so far. We need a new approach. Admiral Park, who had been quiet, finally spoke. Let Dr. Kim finish her presentation. Jisoo nodded gratefully and pulled up her research on the main screen. The Vorax use subsonic frequencies that humans can't hear. These sounds carry emotional and tactical information. She showed them brain scans and sound wave patterns. Their brains process these frequencies through specialized neural pathways. If we disrupt those pathways, we can prevent them from communicating effectively. General Kang wasn't impressed. And how long before you have something that actually works? We've already built a prototype, Jisoo said. This caught everyone's attention. Even the general looked surprised. Show us, Admiral Park said. 2 days later, Jisoo stood in a secure room at the Nevada military base. Behind thick glass, a captured Vorax sat in a cell. The alien was smaller than most of its kind, probably young. Its purple skin looked dull under the harsh lights. Military officials, including Admiral Park and Colonel Sung-ho, watched from another room. General Kang had refused to come, calling it a waste of time. The device is ready, Mayri said, checking the small black box they had built. It will generate the disruptive frequency pattern we developed. Jisoo nodded. Let's begin the test. First, they established a baseline. Hajun spoke to the Vorax using a translation device. The alien responded, its 4 eyes blinking at different times. Now we'll activate the Silent Night prototype, Jisoo announced. Mayray turned on their device. It made no sound that humans could hear, but the effect on the Vorax was immediate. The alien stopped mid-sentence. Its 4 eyes blinked rapidly. It opened its mouth but made no sound. After trying to speak again, it slumped in its chair, looking confused and disoriented. It's working, Hejun whispered. Jisoo watched carefully as the Vorax tried to speak again but couldn't form words. After 30 seconds, Mirai turned off the device. The Vorax immediately began making distressed sounds, its hands moving frantically. Translation. Admiral Park asked. It's saying it couldn't find its words, Hejun replied. It felt like its thoughts were scattered. Admiral Park looked at Jisoo with new respect. How soon can you build more of these devices? And how can we use them in battle? The prototype is limited, Jisoo admitted. It only works at close range. We need to make it stronger and able to cover larger areas. Colonel Sung-ho stepped forward. I'll make sure you get whatever resources you need. As they left the testing area, Admiral Park stopped Jisoo. I was wrong to doubt you, Dr. Kim. But we're running out of time. The Vorax are preparing for a final push toward Earth. If your Silent Night is going to save us, it needs to be ready soon. Jisoo nodded. The weight of humanity's survival pressed down on her shoulders. We'll be ready, she promised, hoping it wasn't a lie. Jisoo stared at the numbers on her screen until they blurred. She blinked hard and took another sip of cold coffee. According to her watch, it was 3:47 a.m. She had been working for 20 hours straight. After the successful test, Colonel Sung-ho had given them a bigger lab and more resources. Their team had grown from 3 to 15 people. Engineers, scientists, and military experts now worked together on Project Silent Night. You should rest, Mayri said, walking into the lab with 2 fresh cups of coffee. She handed one to Jisoo. No time, Jisoo said. The Vorax aren't resting. Mayri sat down beside her. You can't help Earth if you're too tired to think. Jisoo knew Mayri was right, but every time she closed her eyes, she saw the faces of people counting on her. She also saw another face, her brother's. Today is the anniversary, Jisoo said quietly. Mayri looked confused. Anniversary of my brother's death. Jisoo pulled up a picture on her tablet. A young man in a colony uniform smiled at the camera. Junho was on the first colony that the Vorax attacked. He was a teacher. Mayri's face softened. I didn't know. I'm sorry. Jisoo touched the picture gently. He loved teaching science to children. He believed humans were meant to explore the stars. Her voice caught. He never even saw the Vorax coming. Is that why you're pushing yourself so hard? May-Ray asked. Jisoo nodded. Partly. But also because every day we delay, more people die. The door to the lab opened, and Hejun rushed in. His usually neat hair was messy, and his eyes were wide. New report from intelligence, he said, out of breath. The Vorax are gathering their fleet. They're planning a direct attack on Earth. Jisoo's heart raced. When? 2 weeks, maybe less. May-Ray put her head in her hands. The Silent Night device isn't ready for full deployment yet. We've improved the range, but it's still not enough for space battle. Jisoo stood up, a new energy filling her despite her exhaustion. Then we work faster. Call everyone in. We need to solve the range problem now. For the next 3 days, Jisoo barely left the lab. She ate at her desk and slept only a few hours on a cot in the corner. The team worked around her in shifts, testing and improving the Silent Night device. On the 4th day, they had a breakthrough. If we link multiple devices together, Hejun explained, drawing on the whiteboard, we can create a network effect. Each ship could carry one device, and together they could cover a much larger area. And if we add this amplifier, May-Ray added, showing a new design, we can boost the signal strength by 300%. Jisoo studied their work. This could work. We need to test it. They set up a simulation using captured Vorax communication devices placed at various distances. When they activated the linked Silent Night network, all the devices went dead. It's working, Hejun shouted. The team cheered, but Jisoo felt a wave of dizziness wash over her. The room spun around her. She reached out to steady herself on the desk, but her hand missed. Jisoo. May-Ray's voice sounded far away. The floor rushed up to meet her, and everything went black. Jisoo woke up in the medical bay. Colonel Sung-ho stood by her bed, his face grim. Doctor says it's extreme exhaustion, he said. Your body simply shut down. Jisoo tried to sit up, but Sung-ho gently pushed her back down. The Vorax fleet has started moving, he said. They'll reach Earth in 5 days. Jisoo felt panic rising. The Silent Night network. Your team is finishing it, Sung-ho assured her. But they need you, Dr. Kim. And you can't help if you're dead from working yourself to death. Jisoo closed her eyes. Her brother's face appeared in her mind. Then she saw the faces of all the people counting on her. Give me 1 day to rest, she said. Then I'm going back to work. Colonel Sung-ho nodded. 1 day. And then we prepare for the fight of our lives. Jisoo stood by the window of the medical bay, watching ships prepare in the distance. Even from here, she could see how few Earth ships remained. They were outnumbered and outgunned. Their only hope was Silent Night. The door opened, and Admiral Park walked in. He looked older than when Jisoo had first met him 3 months ago. The war had aged them all. Dr. Kim, he said with a small bow. How are you feeling? Better. Jisoo lied. She was still weak, but there was no time for weakness now. Admiral Park looked down at his hands. I came to apologize. For what? For starting this war, for not listening to you sooner. He sighed heavily. If I had been more careful with my words that day. Jisoo shook her head. The Vorax were looking for a reason to attack us. If not that day, then another. The Admiral nodded slowly. Perhaps. But now humanity's fate rests on your Silent Night project. He looked up at her. Colonel Sung-ho tells me the devices are ready for installation on our ships. Yes, we've created 50 devices. Each one can disrupt Vorax communication within a range of 10 kilometers. Jisoo pulled up the specs on her tablet. When linked together, they create a network with much greater coverage. Will it be enough? Jisoo wished she could say yes with certainty. It has to be. Admiral Park straightened his uniform. The medical officer says you should stay here for another day. But I know you won't. Jisoo smiled slightly. No, I won't. Then at least you should know where you'll be. The Admiral handed her a small card. You're assigned to the flagship, the EDS Defender. I want you there to monitor the Silent Night network during battle. Jisoo took the card. Thank you, Admiral. After he left, Jisoo gathered her few belongings and headed to the lab. She found Hejun and Mayray supervising the final preparations of the Silent Night devices. Engineers were packing them into protective cases for transport to the ships. You should still be resting, Mayray said when she saw Jisoo. No time, Jisoo replied. How are the final tests going? Hejun pointed to his screen. All devices are functioning at optimal levels. The engineers are installing the first batch on ships right now. Jisoo nodded. Good. We're assigned to the flagship. We leave in 6 hours. Mayray looked worried. The flagship will be the main Vorax target. It's also where we can best monitor and adjust the Silent Night network during battle, Jisoo said. They worked through the afternoon, checking and rechecking the devices. As evening approached, they took a break on the roof of the building. The sky was turning dark purple, reminding Jisoo uncomfortably of Vorax skin. Do you think it will work? Hejun asked quietly. Jisoo looked at him. In these past weeks, she had come to know him well. His quick mind, his dry humor, his quiet strength. I believe it can, she said. The science is sound. But so much could go wrong, Hejun said. The devices could fail. The Vorax could adapt. Yes. They stood in silence, watching the stars appear one by one. Somewhere out there, the Vorax fleet was approaching. I never told you, Jisoo said finally, why I became a linguist. Hejun and Mayray turned to her. My parents were linguists. They believed that language was the key to peace between species. Jisoo smiled sadly. They would be surprised to see me using language to create a weapon. Not a weapon, Mayray said. A shield. Hejun nodded. We're not attacking the Vorax. We're just stopping them from hurting us. Jisoo wasn't sure the difference mattered anymore. In a few hours, they would be in space, facing the most powerful alien fleet humans had ever encountered. Their lives, all human lives, would depend on sounds no one could hear. We should get some rest, Jisoo said. Tomorrow, we either save Earth or we don't. As they left the roof, Jisoo took one last look at the stars. She thought of her brother and hoped he would be proud of what she was about to do. The EDS Defender hummed with energy as it moved into position. Through the wide windows of the command center, Jisoo could see Earth's remaining ships forming a defensive line. 63 ships in total. Not enough. Vorax fleet approaching from Sector 7, announced the tactical officer. Estimated time to engagement, 15 minutes. Admiral Park stood at the center of the command deck, his back straight and his face calm. Status of Silent Night network. Jisoo checked her console. She, Hejun, and Mayray had set up a special station to monitor and control the network of devices installed throughout Earth's fleet. All devices online and linked, Jisoo reported. Network integrity at 100%. The Admiral nodded. And range. The network should cover a sphere approximately 200 kilometers in diameter, Hejun said. But we won't know for sure until we activate it. A tense silence fell over the command center. On the main screen, small dots appeared, moving toward their position. The Vorax fleet. 315 ships detected, the tactical officer announced. Mayray gasped softly. 5-to-1 odds. Admiral Park's expression didn't change. We've faced worse. Jisoo wasn't sure that was true, but she appreciated his confidence. All ships, battle positions, the Admiral ordered. Prepare to engage the enemy. The minutes ticked by slowly. Jisoo ran final checks on the Silent Night network. Everything looked ready, but doubt crept into her mind. What if the Vorax had somehow discovered their plan? What if the devices failed? Vorax fleet entering weapons range. announced the tactical officer. They're deploying in attack formation. Admiral Park took a deep breath. Begin Phase 1. Earth's ships moved forward in small groups. The plan was to engage the Vorax briefly, then pull back, drawing them into the center of the Silent Night Network's range. The first shots flashed across space. Bright beams of energy struck Earth ships, and they fired back. The battle had begun. Silent Night status, Admiral Park asked. Ready to activate on your command, Jisoo said. The battle intensified quickly. 2 Earth ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The Vorax advanced, their superior weapons tearing through human defenses. Phase 1 complete, reported the tactical officer. Vorax main fleet is entering the target zone. Admiral Park nodded to Jisoo. Activate Silent Night. Jisoo pressed the command sequence. On her screen, all 50 devices lit up green as they began broadcasting the disruptive frequency pattern. Network active, she reported, monitoring for effects. Everyone watched the main screen. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, several Vorax ships began to drift off course. Their attack pattern broke down. It's working, Hejun said. But the celebration was short-lived. While some Vorax ships seemed affected, others continued to attack with full coordination. Something's wrong, Jisoo said, studying her readings. The effect isn't consistent. A massive blast rocked the Defender. The lights flickered and alarms blared. Direct hit to our port side, someone shouted. Shields down to 60%. Jisoo's fingers flew over her console. The Vorax are adapting to the frequency pattern. They're adjusting their communication. Can you counter it? Admiral Park asked, his calm voice now showing hints of stress. We need to modify the pattern, Jisoo said. She turned to Hejun and Mairei. Help me recalibrate. We need to shift the disruption to different neural pathways. As they worked, the battle grew worse around them. More Earth ships were hit. The Defender shook with each impact. How much longer? The Admiral asked. 2 minutes, Jisoo replied, not looking up from her work. Another blast hit the Defender, stronger than before. Jisoo was thrown from her chair. Emergency lights came on as the main power flickered. Major damage to decks 5 through 9, reported an officer. Weapon systems failing. Jisoo pulled herself back to her station. The Silent Night control panel was damaged, sparks flying from one side. Can you still modify the network? Hejun asked. Jisoo looked at the broken panel and then at the battle raging outside. Earth was losing, and their best hope was failing. Yes, she said, but we need to try something else entirely. What do you mean? Admiral Park asked as another blast shook the ship. Jisoo's mind raced. The Vorax are adapting to our frequency pattern because we're targeting specific parts of their communication. But what if we hit all of it at once? Hejun understood immediately. A complete communication blackout. Exactly, Jisoo said. Instead of trying to jam certain frequencies, we overload their entire auditory system. Mairei shook her head. The network doesn't have enough power for that. Not spread across 50 devices, Jisoo agreed. But what if we redirect all power to one massive pulse? The Admiral frowned. Is that possible? In theory, Jisoo said. We'd need to reconfigure the network to channel all energy into the Defender's device. It would create one powerful pulse instead of 50 smaller ones. How powerful? The Admiral asked. Jisoo hesitated. Powerful enough to affect every Vorax ship within range. But there's a risk. What risk? The Defender's power systems are already damaged, Jisoo explained. Channeling that much energy could overload them completely. Everyone understood what that meant. The Defender might not survive. Another hit rocked the ship. More alarms blared. Shields down to 30%, an officer reported. We've lost 15 more ships. Admiral Park looked at the battle displayed on the main screen. Earth ships were being destroyed one by one. There was no choice. "Do it," he ordered. "Reconfigure the network." Jisoo nodded and turned to her team. Mireille, redirect power from all network devices to the Defender. Hejun, help me modify the central device to handle the increased load. They worked quickly, their fingers flying over consoles and through damaged circuits. The ship shook around them as the battle continued. "All ships, this is Admiral Park," the Admiral announced over the fleet communication system. "Prepare for Operation Final Silence. Move to defensive positions around the Defender." The remaining Earth ships began to form a protective circle around the flagship, taking hits meant for the Defender. "Network reconfiguration at 70%, Mireille reported. Jisoo crawled under her console, manually rewiring the damaged Silent Night control panel. Sparks flew past her face as she connected the final circuits. "Device modifications complete," Hejun announced. "But the power coupling is unstable. We'll get one shot at this." Jisoo emerged from under the console, her face smudged with soot. "That's all we need." "Network reconfiguration complete," Mireille said. "All power redirected to the Defender's device." Jisoo took her place at the main console. "Silent Night is ready for final pulse." Admiral Park looked at them gravely. "What's the blast radius?" "If it works as calculated, about 300 kilometers in all directions," Jisoo said. "And the effect on the Vorax? Complete communication blackout. Their ships will be unable to coordinate or even understand basic commands for approximately 5 minutes." The Admiral nodded. "That's our window to end this." He turned to the tactical officer. "As soon as the pulse activates, target Vorax command ships." Jisoo took a deep breath. On her screen, the power levels of the modified Silent Night device climbed dangerously high. Warning indicators flashed red. "Power systems reaching critical levels," an engineering officer warned. "We can't sustain this for long." "Everyone ready?" Jisoo asked, looking at Hejun and Mireille. They both nodded. Admiral Park stood tall. "For Earth." Jisoo pressed the activation control, initiating Silent Night final pulse. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the lights on the Defender dimmed as massive power flowed into the Silent Night device. A low vibration ran through the ship, building quickly. Outside, in the vacuum of space, no sound could travel. But the pulse did, invisible waves of precisely calibrated frequencies expanding outward in all directions. On the main screen, every Vorax ship suddenly stopped firing. They drifted, seemingly without purpose or direction. "It's working," Hejun whispered. The silence that followed was deafening. 3 weeks after the battle, Jisoo stood before the large windows in the Earth Defense Headquarters. Outside, the sky was clear blue. People walked in the streets below, going about their daily lives. They were alive because of what had happened in space. The door opened behind her. Admiral Park and Colonel Sung-ho entered, both wearing formal uniforms with new medals. "Dr. Kim," Admiral Park said, "the Vorax ambassador has arrived. Are you ready?" Jisoo nodded. She wore a simple blue dress instead of her usual lab clothes. "Is the modified device working?" "Yes," Colonel Sung-ho said. "Your team's translation system is operating perfectly." After the battle, things had happened quickly. When the massive Silent Night pulse hit the Vorax fleet, their ships had frozen in space. Unable to communicate, their commanders could not give orders. Their weapons fell silent. Earth's remaining ships had quickly disabled the helpless Vorax vessels. Within hours, the mighty alien fleet had surrendered. But Jisoo hadn't stopped there. In the days that followed, she had worked with Hejun and Mireille to modify the Silent Night technology. Instead of disrupting Vorax communication, the new version helped translate the subsonic frequencies that humans couldn't hear. For the first time, humans could truly understand the Vorax. "This way," Admiral Park said, leading Jisoo to the meeting room. Inside, a Vorax stood by the table, It was the High Commander who had declared war on humanity 3 months ago. His purple skin looked duller now, and he held himself less proudly. "High Commander," Jisoo said with a small bow. "Thank you for coming." The Vorax made a sound that the translation device on the table converted to words. "Dr. Kim, the human who turned our greatest strength into our greatest weakness." Jisoo moved to the table. Not a weakness, a bridge. She activated the translator, which now worked both ways. When she spoke, it added subsonic frequencies that the Vorax could understand completely. "For too long, our species have misunderstood each other," Jisoo said. "Humans couldn't hear half of what you were saying, and you couldn't understand why we responded as we did." The High Commander's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Your weapon was impressive. No species has ever defeated the Vorax before." "It wasn't meant to be a permanent weapon," Jisoo explained. "That's why I've created this translator, so we can truly talk to each other." Over the next hour, Jisoo and the High Commander began the process of building peace between their species. The Vorax would return to their territory. Earth would keep its colonies, and a new era of communication would begin. When the meeting ended, Jisoo felt tired but hopeful. Hajum was waiting for her outside. "How did it go?" he asked as they walked through the hallway. "Better than expected. The High Commander is actually quite reasonable when you can understand all the emotional context in his speech." Hajum smiled. "So, what's next for the hero of Earth?" Jisoo shook her head. "I'm not a hero. I just noticed something no one else did. That's often what heroes do." They reached the entrance of the building. Mayray was waiting with a car to take them to a celebration dinner. "Before we go," Jisoo said, "there's somewhere I need to stop first." The memorial garden was quiet in the evening light. Jisoo walked alone to a small stone marker with her brother's name, Junho Kim. She knelt and placed a small flower by the stone. "We did it, Junho," she said softly. "The war is over." She touched the cool surface of the memorial stone. In her pocket was a small version of the translation device. Soon, it would be mass-produced. Humans and Vorax would be able to understand each other completely for the first time. "You always said communication was the key to peace," she whispered. "You were right." As the sun set, Jisoo stood and looked up at the darkening sky. The stars were beginning to appear. Somewhere out there, Vorax ships were heading home. The silence that had ended the battle was now giving way to something better: understanding. Jisoo hadn't started the fight between humans and the Vorax, but she was the reason it had ended in silence. A silence that was now filled with the promise of peace.